So the first look of the new expansion to Neverwinter, Module 32, is here. It brings with it a new adventure zone in The, a new city, new zone mechanics, heroic encounters, trials, and so many new rewards, including artifact weapons which you can upgrade to Celestial. There is also a new mount and companion with combat enchantments directed at healers, tanks, and damage dealers, along with so many more gear items. So let's go over everything we know so far with Module 32. To begin the new storyline and unlock the new adventure zone, you need to pick up the quest Out of the Frying Pan from Sergeant Knox. This directs us to meet with Xuna, and she tells us to head to this event, where the Thayan city is in ruins and on fire. We end up having to escape from some enemies, through the flames, and then to kill some red wizards. We get a new cutscene, and we have to defeat the Gate Guardians. With them disposed of, we can escape the city, ending up in the new adventure zone. Doom Vault remains. Opening the map, we can see we're at the player hub. This place looks pretty big. There's all your usual NPCs here. We can speak to Xuna, completing the quest, and getting the first of our campaign currency. If we do check our journal, however, they don't seem to have released the new campaign just yet, at least the visuals of it. And you will be able to continue the storyline within this area, working towards getting those new rewards. But let's have a look what these NPCs have to offer. Well, unfortunately, it looks like they have not updated the NPCs. They are just placeholders, so nothing new here just yet. But we will be getting a new trial with a ton of new rewards, and we can check collections to already see all of the stats and bonuses that those new items will be giving us, including those new celestial weapons. As per the developer blog that they just posted earlier, the new trial Soul Harvest will be accessible on the weekend of November the 7th, and this will allow us to bring the end of the Reign of Terror of Saz-Tam, bringing a final conclusion to the end of the Fae storyline, giving us artifact weapons to upgrade, a new companion and mount, along with another here, and new enchantments, all of which we can already access via the Wondrous Bazaar, the Module 32 preview section. So we can have a quick look at the new mount, that's right here, with Necrotic Flesh, Power, Outgoing Healing, and then a combat power, which looks pretty broken. If you time this right, this is going to deal over 3,800 magnitude, which is more than any other mount we've had so far. As for the insignia bonuses, you can see all of those just here. This also comes with the addition of this mount, but it simply just has tunnel vision, and it will come via the new campaign store, as you can see here from the Russian server, which does have access to the new campaign. It's just here a purple mount. As for the new companion, we can indeed already see that via the collections. That's just this guy, with impactful maneuvers, power and fortitude, and a utility power that looks really good. Keep in mind, this is not yet Celestial, and already has 4% power and 4% combat advantage for 5 seconds whenever you critically hit. So this could well be 5% on each. As for his combat effectiveness, he doesn't appear to have any debuffs or team support, so he's simply just going to be a damage dealer, and we'll have to check how impactful he is when he's available. But now let's jump to these new enchantments. First thing to be very aware of is they will be coming as part of the Module 32's upcoming lockbox. We can obtain all of them here and go ahead and upgrade them to Celestial. You still can't do it directly from Mythic. You have to go through the convoluted Celestial upgrade process, where you first go ahead, trade in the Mythic enchantment, binding it to your account, and then claiming it back as the account-wide version with that OR tag. Once you do so, you can now upgrade that bound version, as you can see here, with this cost. Generally, you'll use a coal moat to preserve those materials and actually get a successful upgrade, and we do so So we now have all three on Celestial and we can properly look at the stats. So we'll first look at Celestial Swift Synergy. So this is simply an alternate version giving combat advantage and critical severity. However, it won't be great in solo content because you will only gain 6 stacks. If you multiply 0.9 by 12, you then do get the exact same amount of stats that you get through the Lightning Flash, the 21.6%. So it's great for build diversity, and it still does have the increase of 12% damage. We can then look at the Celestial Rime Temper, and this is a simple, direct upgrade from the Flash Freeze. On top of it having the 12% usual damage reduction, it's also giving a 15% maximum health boost. And then when receiving damage, you have a 30% chance to reduce the target's outgoing damage by 4.5%, stacking up to 3 times. And this is versus the Flash Freeze right here, which is a 20% chance to apply that slow, and then a 6% reduction to the outgoing damage. It's just this 20% chance is worse than the 30% chance, so I would generally take the more reliable upgraded version right here, along with the extra max health boost. So yes, tanks would ideally want to be getting that. And then the combat enchantment for healers. Whenever you single targetly heal a teammate, you can give them a damage buff of 5%, which should be added to their magical or physical damage boost, at least by what they say in the blog here, along with increasing their incoming healing. Additionally, enemies who hit the ally while they have the buff will have their outgoing damage reduced by 5%, with a 12-second cooldown. So overall, yeah, this looks really good for healers, along with having that heal resource regen of 9%. But now let's jump to the rest of the gear, and particularly the Celestial weapons. To check their stats and all of the other gear that's coming with this module, I've made this document. You can even see the visuals of the new fashion sets and all the vanity pets to represent the new monsters that we'll be facing throughout this module. There are some pretty interesting ones here. Just keep in mind, you're going to be getting these weapons first of all at the base level green, which are just going to have pretty low stats, low item level, and without that big bonus. And yes, they've actually done something new this time around. You can see you need to gain these charges. You will gain them by using daily powers and counter powers and just spending time in combat. Once you reach a certain amount of charges, it can vary depending on the class. For example, here on Bard, you need 13, but Barbarian just needs 10. And once you get to those maximum stacks, you're going to get the buff Unleashed. And this gives you, as you can see here if you're a DPS, a 5% damage boost. Or if you're a tank, 5% reduction to incoming damage. On top of a 6% power boost and 7.5% crit severity. Additionally, you should also be able to get modifications on this gear. It seems to be bugged right now with no way to change them. But you can see, for example, this gives me deflect and control bonus, and this is currently giving me duelist flurry bonus. Much like we had way back with like Mirage or Lionheart weapons. We don't know exactly yet what will be required to actually upgrade these weapons, other than from the campaign on the Russian server. Potentially one of the campaign tasks are required to get them upgraded. But ultimately, no matter the class, they all have this same Unleashed bonus, getting the charges and then gaining that buff of Unleashed for 20 seconds. I'm assuming they've balanced this in a way that you should be able to have a near enough 100% uptime while in combat with this bonus, by simply casting daily powers and counter powers and having that duration in combat to gain those stacks. But I'll have to do some calculations on that, because there is a 3-second cooldown, and this has a 1.5 second cooldown on how many times you can actually gain those stacks via encounter powers. This having a 1 second cooldown. But just keep in mind, the main difference between the classes is simply that stat boost, as you see here. Wizard gets power crit severity, while Warlock gets crit strike and power. Ultimately, these weapons seem pretty powerful, with over 5,000 item level, plus 200 base damage boost, and so will most likely on at least damage dealers be best in slot. With this update, there will also be new mythic armor. It's unlikely that it's intended to surpass the celestial armor you could get with the previous module and master trial, but you can see there are some useful bonuses, and they have gone back to the standard class specific gear. So you can see each page of the document here has the gear, and it says right there what class this can be used on. So for Rogue, Cleric, Bard and Ranger, this would be the new gear you're getting. The chest piece looks very odd there. Use a daily power. Yes, you can gain 75% damage to 1 encounter power, but that's it. I doubt this is worth an entire chest piece. At least on Rogue. Maybe on Bard or Ranger, when you're using more daily powers it could be useful, but otherwise the boots are not too bad, and the arms have an annoying cooldown of 10 seconds. Ultimately, you'll need to look through it for yourself to determine whether anything will be useful. I will, depending on what builds I go for module 32. And again, be sure to leave your feedback, as these things still have some chance to change before they get released to the live server. There's legendary gear as well from the advanced version of the trial, and then there's gear that you can get in the adventure zone, this purple stuff. There are also some rings you can get, mythic from master and legendary from advanced. Infinite Void is the current name of the new trial. And there will be some rings you can get just out there in the zone, in the map, just as stepping stone stuff. There are also new shirt and pants, and all of this new gear is having massive boosts to the amount of item level it's all giving. The mythic armor, 5,000 item level, with the legendary stuff, 4,700. Mythic rings, 4,900 item level. And mythic shirt and pants, 3,800. So you'll have to keep in mind of that when looking at what gear pieces to go with. There's also some clothing from the zone here. Looks actually pretty neat. The visuals of it, and then the stats, there are some okay ones here just to give ratings. The new enchantments we already went through, and the new fashions and pets within this category right here. So that's the one new fashion outfit right here. Should be from Heroic Encounters, and the other should be from the Zone mechanic, this one. And then there's all of these new vanity pets you can get. It also displays where they come from, like Campaign Store, the Master Trial, the Campaign Store, Heroic Encounters, the same here, and this guy too, with a bunch of them being unknown. And there's also this cloak which should come from the Master Trial. Could well be the reward for, getting the achievements in it. But yes, that's everything to come with module 32. My document should be linked in the video description. But yeah, that's it for module 32 and everything we can see right now that's coming. The adventure zone's pretty big, interesting area underground, still with that Thayan theme. There are some new enemies around, with also the usual hordes of undead. And yeah, ultimately the art is really well done. Look at this heroic encounter area. Here you can see out over the chasm. I can probably jump down there. But that's it for the video. Thanks all for watching. A special thank you to all my channel members for your extra support. And we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.